A 1,000-foot container ship drifts in place, engines humming, but nothing moves because the canal has lost the only thing that matters: water. Not a mechanical failure, not a strike, a hydrological stall. When the watershed dries, a lock canal becomes a stranded staircase. Here is the overlooked constraint. Every transit spends millions of gallons of fresh water, forever gone to the sea. Drop below the minimum lake level, and steel, diesel, and schedules are irrelevant. We think of the Panama Canal as a shortcut, a 12-hour bypass saving weeks at sea. But the shortcut runs on a hidden currency, roughly 50 million gallons of lake water per large transit. That currency depends on tropical rainfall patterns that can wobble hard under El Niño and land use change. Each lock cycle trades elevation for throughput by dumping freshwater downstep, a design choice with a bill due in drought. In the next 9 minutes, we will trace exactly how lake levels choke transits, why feedback loops make rationing self-defeating, how cargo reroutes rewrite prices, and what a dry canal forces the world to build next. At the core are two reservoirs, Gatun and Alajuela, feeding gravity-powered locks that lift ships 85 feet over the isthmus. Scheduling is slot-based, about 35 to 40 ships per day in balanced conditions, constrained by water and lock availability. The new locks added water-saving basins to recirculate part of each cycle, but even they bleed fresh water on every descent. The inflow ledger: rainfall minus evaporation, forest uptake, and seepage, minus the outflow to transits and power generation. Key users: Asia-US East Coast containers, US Gulf LNG and LPG to Asia, South American grains and vehicle carriers, tolls and slot auctions, price scarcity. When water tightens, premiums spike and smaller vessels are priced out. Recent droughts previewed the edge case. Lake levels force draft limits and cut daily transits. Below the operational minimum, locks must reduce cycles. Below critical, some chambers cannot safely operate at all. The canal also shares water with Panama City and hydropower. Human consumption takes precedence when levels fall. In equilibrium, governance is a balancing act. Maximize throughput, maintain lake buffers, and keep customers predictable. That balance is fragile, and when the water ledger flips, the system cascades. First, the authority cuts daily slots to conserve water. Then they impose draft limits, forcing ships to sail lighter or not at all. Anchorage swells as arrivals outpace processed transits. Auction premiums spike. Space goes to the highest bidder, not the earliest arrival. Some operators hire feeders to lighten loads offshore, paying twice to fit new constraints. Gas carriers face a binary: wait, reroute via longer capes, or flip the cargo to nearer buyers. Pilots and tugs idle between fewer lockages, but labor and asset costs keep accruing. Water is reallocated to cities. Locks become secondary. Here is the counterintuitive part: rationing can make water losses worse. We will come back to that. Transit time explodes from hours to days, waiting, plus the passage. Spot rates on Asia-US East Coast lanes rise as capacity tightens. Just-in-time buffers compress, arrivals lose cadence, and distribution centers miss labor windows. Operators price in uncertainty, fuel hedges widen, and insurers load premiums for delay exposure. Bulk commodities resequence sailings, some flip destination from Asia to Europe to avoid the choke point. Queues breed uncertainty. Uncertainty breeds cost, and cost breeds substitution. Before we go deeper, if you are finding this valuable, a quick like and subscribe helps more people find IfVerse. Now back to the mechanism. With inflows below combined losses, every cycle pulls the lake lower into a steeper deficit. Water-saving basins cut the loss per transit but cannot zero it out. Scarcity persists. How can fewer ships mean more total loss? The answer hides in evaporation. Hold that thought. Because what breaks next is not schedules. It is the lake itself. And once the shoreline retreats, the incentives shift in ways that lock in the shortage. Lower lakes expose more shallow, warm surface, increasing evaporation losses per day. If you halt transits for weeks, you may save per cycle water, but you pay a larger continual evaporation tax. This is why rationing can backfire. At low levels, evaporation dominates the ledger. Municipal demand is inelastic. The canal absorbs most of the cuts, anchoring the lake lower. Lower water magnifies silt and safety margins, forcing even tighter draft limits. Hydropower curtailment shifts the grid to thermal plants, importing more fuel and raising domestic costs. Cargo reroutes. Containers swing to West Coast plus rail. Atlantic trades try Suez, and Gulf cargo rounds the Capes. Freight surcharges transmit into delivered prices. Some goods absorb, others vanish from shelves. Congestion migrates to alternative ports, not staffed or stacked for the surge. Rigid labor windows meet stochastic arrivals, eroding productivity further. Contracts trigger off-hire and force majeure clauses, shifting who pays for waiting and rerouting. So yes, fewer ships can coincide with more total water loss, because time is the enemy at low levels. Dispatchers prioritize shallow draft ships. Heavy Neo-Panamax waits or diverts. Shippers split loads to fit draft, trading scale efficiency for passage probability. The authority experiments with drought surcharges and adaptive tolls to modulate demand. Retailers pivot purchase orders to West Coast entries, absorbing longer inland hauls. But alternative choke points have their own risks and capacity ceilings. If the canal stays dry, what must the world build? The answer defines the new equilibrium, because extended dryness forces capital decisions, not just scheduling tweaks. And those decisions reshape trade geography for years, not weeks. In the altered state, seasonal draft caps become normal policy, not emergency measures. Fleet orders tilt toward medium tonnage optimized for shallow transits and flexibility. North American importers double down on West Coast ports plus rail capacity. Energy flows bifurcate. U.S. Gulf cargoes bias to Europe. Asia leans more on Middle East and Pacific sources. Panama explores water augmentation, reforestation, new reservoirs, interbasin transfers, and desalination to free lake water for locks. Each option has multi-year timelines, high capex, and environmental trade-offs. So what must be built first is water. Capacity to store, move, or offset it, not more lock steel. While we wrap up, if you have a scenario you want us to run, leave it in the comments. We read every suggestion. At the start, a dry canal looked like a scheduling error. It is actually a water accounting failure with a feedback loop. The single most important insight: the Panama Canal runs on rain, not on gates and diesel. Throughput is a derivative of hydrology. When the ledger goes red, steel stands still. Living with this volatility means diversified routes, bigger buffers, and capital in water, not just ships. Because the cheapest gallon for trade is the one stored months before the drought arrives. What scenario should we explore next? Share your ideas below. You have been watching IfVerse, where imagination meets possibility. See you in our next reality.